I'm really excited today, as I've been thinking about this project for a while. A free and comprehensive photography course on YouTube that everyone could follow. Let's get started. Now. Welcome to my channel and welcome to episode 1 of Learning Photography on YouTube. If you're here for the first time and you don't want to miss all the episodes that are coming in the next weeks, it might be a good idea to subscribe. As you saw from the title, today we're going to talk about how to choose your first or next camera. I have been very undecided if I should talk about photography gear at the beginning or at the end. And I picked the beginning because I thought that if you are starting out with photography and you don't have any camera and you want to follow this course at its full potential, participating in the assignment that I will share with you, you will need a camera. And at the same time, if you already have an old camera, but you want to wait to have more knowledge before choosing the next camera, you can always go back to this video at the end of this course. So here we go. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips, 5 tips as usual, that hopefully are going to help you in your camera decision-making process. But first of all, we need to see which are our camera options today in 2019. And the very first option is something you possibly have already. They say that the best camera is the one that is always with you. So nothing beats your smartphone. Smartphones nowadays have really good cameras. They are light, they're small, again, they're always with you, and some of them, they also have multiple lenses. But of course, they have a lot of limitations too. And the main one is that they operate through a very, very small sensor, which will compromise their photography performances, especially when there is not a lot of light available. Our next option is a point and shoot camera, just like this one. This camera is 12 years old. And imagine that this camera has still a bigger sensor than my latest iPhone. A point and shoot, of course, is very small, very light, super portable, but at the same time doesn't have a very good grip. As you can see, I have big hands, but still it's not very easy to hold it. Because it's very small, there is not a lot of buttons and controls available without entering in the menu. A point and shoot will not have the possibility to change lenses, and although nowadays they have better point and shoots than this one, they still operate in very small sensors. So you will end up with the same limitations that you have with your smartphone. Our next option is a bridge camera. A bridge camera has the same form factor of a DSLR, but still operates with a smaller sensor, and also, like a point and shoot, does not have the possibility to change lenses. In my opinion, bridge cameras have the limitations of DSLR being bulkier and the limitations of point and shoots, because they still operate on tiny sensors and they don't let you change lenses. As a matter of fact, I never owned a bridge camera. And our last options are DSLRs and mirrorless. The difference between the two clearly is the mirror. DSLRs operate like analogic reflex, while mirrorless don't use a mirror, and these allow them to be usually smaller and lighter. Although nowadays there is a new trend where mirrorless cameras are actually packed with a lot of features, and this makes them almost as heavy or as big as a DSLR. And this is why I'm putting mirrorless and DSLR in the same group. With both mirrorless and DSLRs, we usually have better grips and better handling. They always have interchangeable lenses. As a matter of fact, you will need to buy a lens for this kind of cameras. They also have a lot of functions that are directly accessible through the push of a button without entering the menu. Mirrorless and DSLRs come with different sensor size, and sensor size does matter. The bigger the better if you are a professional photographer. A full frame sensor, which is the biggest sensor available before stepping up to medium format cameras, will allow better performance in low light, will usually have more megapixel, will also allow you to have a more shallow depth of field. But at the same time, a full frame sensor camera will be a lot more expensive and its lenses will be much bigger. Mirrorless and DSLRs are also available with smaller sensors, so-called cropped sensors. You might need to make some compromises on quality, but at the same time, the lenses will be a lot smaller, the cameras will be a lot lighter, and of course, the system will be a lot less expensive. I use a full frame camera for my photography, the Nikon D810, and I use a mirrorless crop sensor camera for my videos, which is the Panasonic G85. And now that we saw all the cameras available, the question is, what is the camera for you? And as I mentioned, I have 5 tips that will help you to make the right decision, no matter what budget you have, no matter what kind of photography you are going to do. Tip number 1, make sure that your budget is not fully absorbed by the camera body. You will need lenses, at least one lens, and I will make a video later on how to pick your lenses. You will also need a camera bag. Maybe you will need a tripod. Maybe you will need a filter. Remember that the quality of your photos will always be equal to the lower piece of gear that you're using. So if you're spending 90% of your budget in your camera, and let's say 5% in your camera accessories, and just 5% in your camera lens, I will tell you already that you will be disappointed with your results. Camera and lenses, in my opinion, should always be of the same quality level. Tip number 2, pick a system that will allow you to change lenses. If you are really interested into photography, with a point-and-shoot camera or a bridge camera, in my opinion, you will have limits right off the bat. Smartphones are really catching up with point-and-shoot camera, so I don't think that it makes sense to get a point-and-shoot nowadays. And I wouldn't be surprised if in 3 years from now, bridge cameras will disappear. Tip number 3, please make sure that your new camera will shoot in RAW format. We will talk more about RAW formats in the upcoming episodes, but for now let me just tell you that using RAW format will allow you to capture a lot more details, a lot more information, and the full potential dynamic range of an image. And this will make a real quality difference in your photos. Tip number 4, your first camera. If your photography passion will keep on growing, 99% of the time will not be your last camera. So I strongly recommend to look at the used market. You will be surprised of how many, like new, barely used camera and lenses are available. If your budget today will only allow you to buy a new crop sensor camera, most likely with that budget you can buy a used full-frame camera. So before any final decision, make sure to check out this option. Tip number 5. This is for me one of the most important factors when choosing a camera. Cameras in the same price range most of the times have very similar quality and performances. What really makes a difference for me is how much I like to use a camera, how much I like to handle this camera, how easy it is for me to access features without entering in the menu, how intuitive is the user interface, how intuitive is the menu. These are all things that you can only figure out if you actually go to your local camera store and put those cameras in your hands. So please make sure to go to your local camera store. Try different cameras, try different brands. These should definitely help you in making your final decision. Remember that even the very best camera will not take the best pictures by itself. It is always you that is taking the shot. You don't need to spend crazy amount of money, especially at the beginning. Invest on yourself. Keep on following this course, and I give you my word that you will be taking better photos very soon. This first episode of Learning Photography on YouTube is over. Next Thursday we are going to talk about exposure. Make sure to be there. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something new. And if you did, don't be afraid to let me know in the comments below. If you want to help me growing this community and create more quality contents for you, hit that like button now. And if you didn't yet, consider to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.